Hi everyone, it's April. I was not feeling well last week, and so we did not do our week 5 of our live tutorials where we were covering the layers panel in Designspace. So I wanted to record it so that we could get back on schedule for week 6. So let me just go in here. Some of you may be noticing that there's no grid here, and that's because I have mine turned off. They are working on it. They know the last update has messed with a few things. So normally we can click between the two zeros and change our grid. And right now you can't do that. So you'll have to go into your settings and go in and change it there should you need to change your grid. So I just wanted to address that. And there are also been a few issues with some print and cut. They are aware and they're working on that too. So make sure that if you have any questions about that, you come to the group and you ask us, and we'll be happy to help you out in any way that you need. So we have covered the panel over to the left. We have covered our I'm just going to grab a couple of shapes here so that I can use the toolbars up here to show you some things. It may take a second to load. There we go. So, and we've covered our toolbar up here, our positioning. We covered all of that and over the last few weeks. And I just want to come up here and touch on this. If you ever need to go to your projects, you can click here on my projects and get into that projects menu and see everything that belongs to you. Your collections, you can add a new collection here and you can save those. Access allows you unlimited collections, and I believe you get 100 if you're not an Access subscriber. So you can save and sort your projects into different categories and things like that. Then you can also go to, this is where you're going to save your projects. You're going to name them and save them, and then you can just click on and add them into your collections, and the ones you click on will bring them up in here, and then you can name them. And I'm just going to close that out. I don't need to save that part. Here is your machine family, so you can select the machine that you're going to be using for your project. If you decide you want to go with your maker instead of your maker 3, you're going to change that there. So I'm just going to head back over to the canvas, and here you have the title, and you notice that it's untitled because I haven't saved anything. And you notice this asterisk. That asterisk is going to tell you that you've made a change to your project, or you've moved something in that canvas and you have not saved it. Once you save that, you will see that that asterisk will go away. Okay, now it's gone. Should I make a change, a move, it comes back. So you can tell at a glance that you have or have not saved your project. You also want to click up on the title, and when you click on the title, this is where you're going to edit your details. Now, if you plan to be working offline, and you'll need to review working offline with the Cricut.com learn, and or it's learn.cricut.com, I'm sorry, and read up on working offline, because there are some stipulations. You have to be logged in, and we won't go into great detail here, but if you're going to be working offline, I strongly encourage you to read that section from Cricut. So you'll need to also turn this on if you plan to work offline with it. And then right here you can see that you've got edit project details. Now here you can like it and save it as a favorite. Okay, here's where you share. As long as you have not uploaded anything, that includes fonts, anything is uploaded at all, you cannot share your project. You will get a link, but you will not be able to share it. But if you click on that, it's going to ask you if you want to share it to Facebook, Pinterest, or copy the project link. So you could do those. And then here are your project details. Here's where you're going to add your photos. You're just going to simply click on it and upload your photos. And I'm not going to go in there and upload anything. Let me cancel that. So that's where you're going to do that. If you want to change the name of your project, you can do that here, or if you have a typo in it, any of those things. And then your description. So just whatever assembly, anything that you need to put in there. Down here, your tags. If you're cutting this from cardstock, you can come in here and start typing. You're making a card with it. It's cardstock. If it's a pop-up card, you can put all of those things in there. Anything that it has to do, or if it can be used for iron-on, you could add that. That way, if you're putting it in the community, people can search and find it. Right here, again, I'm going to cover this just because it's very important. We covered it, I think, in lesson 1. When you put anyone with the link, no one can see your project unless you provide them the link. Okay? That's the only way that they can see it, and that is the default. If you don't want anyone to see it, or you've shared it in the past and you decide you don't want it shared anymore, once they have it, they can still share it, but you can stop sharing of your particular link by clicking on Only Me. Okay, that makes it totally private and blocks everybody out but you. Everyone is going to put that into the Cricut community. So when they go over and they search the Cricut community, just like we did my projects, if you're looking in the Cricut community, that project will be available and viewable there. Okay. So once you have everything in, then you're going to click Save. Okay. And then all of your stuff will appear up in here. You can see here are my tags, everything. What I used in the project is here. You can hide that, so if you're not seeing that on a project, you can bring that up, and the description. And you can also print that. So make sure that you're taking full advantage of the title of your projects. So I'm just going to click Customize, and I'm just going to replace. You can close it out, however you want to do it. But everything that you need is there. And then, of course, you have your Make It button, and on Thursday's live on, let's see, the 17th, we're going to cover the Make It and those matte screens. So don't miss that. I want to get you up to speed so that we can move on to that. This is your layers panel, and I'm going to go grab a couple of different images here just so that we can take a peek at what's going on. So let's grab this one. This is a cut file. Let's see. I want, oh, that's cute too. Let's grab that. And then let's get some draw onlys. So I'll just grab, I'm just going to be grabbing random things, guys, and let's do a print and cut. See if we can get it to search. There we go. Let's grab one of these little leprechauns. And now let's grab I don't know if there'll be a cut and draw in there, but we're going to check. There we go. Okay, let's grab this one. So you notice that I've been grabbing all of these, and when I select an image, it puts that green box around it, and then it places it down here in my in the bar for me to add to the canvas. Okay, you can also download. You see that over here. You only, if you're going to be working offline, do you need to download an image. Okay, you can use any images in here without downloading anything. And then you're going to add to canvas. Just because you can download it doesn't mean you can view it or use it outside of DesignSpace. It goes into a folder and it's got different extensions. So just be aware when you download those, there's nowhere really to go and look for those and use those outside of DesignSpace. And it's going to take a moment for those. You can see my green bar moving up here at the top under my title, and it's loading those images in. My internet seems a little slow today. I apologize. Okay, so here we are. I had to pause there for a minute. I think my mail was slowing things down. So here we have several images, and I'm just going to make these a little bit smaller so that we can see them on the screen together. And we don't need that anymore. So now we have all types of images here on the screen. Now, I call the layers panel the brain of DesignSpace. This is the brain, and it looks at your canvas and it calculates everything, sends it over to your machine, and tells your machine what you want it to do. Okay? So if I come over here and I look, you can see it says layers and color sync, and we're going to start there. You see this color sync? I want you to watch the image while I drag this bar to the second color or third color. Doesn't matter. I can drag it down and it's going to change color. So if you've got something where you've pulled in a bunch of images, and like you can see here, we've got 3 different color greens. I'm just going to hit undo. And you want everything in your project to match, you can pull that green down in there and now change those greens. Now, this one is a print and cut, so you're not seeing that green in there, okay? And that's because it's one image. It's like a photo, so it doesn't see it. It only sees its shape. It doesn't see its colors. So you can see that on the flamingo, it changed to the same color as my Black History Month cut image. So I got those greens to match. I'm just going to undo so you can see that. The greens did not match. And now I can drag that in. Oops. You can drag it either way to whichever color that you want. And now they match. So that way, if I'm cutting this out of vinyl, I can send it all to the mat and cut it out of the same green color. Now, if you don't want it to be the same green color, you're not going to do that, of course. Okay? So I'm just going to click undo just to give us some more layers. Now, why do they call it layers? This one is, if you see when I select it here in the layers panel, has one single layer. It has a little drop down arrow. It is one single layer. Okay? This is the compass. It has 2 layers. So if I were to select both of them, I would have 1, 2, 3 layers selected. And that's how you can tell when you're doing things. You're going to see here when we get down into slice and weld why that makes a difference. Why you need to take and pay attention to that. The next thing in there are your group, your ungroup, your duplicate, and delete. And of course they're grayed out because I have nothing selected. And you can see when I select my flamingo that it's grouped. Okay, and that's why it's grayed out. The only thing I can do is ungroup it, or I can duplicate it or delete it. And we know what duplicate means. It means make a copy. And then delete, of course, means put it in the trash. So I'm not going to delete these because I'm going to be using them. But when I ungroup, you can see what happens. I can now move the leaves around. I can move this color around the black. I can move the body around in the beak. I'm just going to undo and get all those lined back up. What grouping does is it leaves those so that I can move it around the canvas and I can size it without changing my image. What does that mean? If I were to ungroup that and then decide, oh, I want to make those legs smaller, look what happens. Now they don't line up. Nothing matches up. This black doesn't match up on the beak, and it's not going to size properly when I put it up there and try to make it. So that's what grouping does. Group is like putting all of your images in a sack and carrying that sack around like your lunch, and it keeps your sandwich and your chips and your orange all in one bag. But you can take them out of the bag and separate them. Okay? That's what grouping does. So I'm just going to undo and get that back together. So anytime that you're resizing your image and it has several layers, you'll want to make sure that it's grouped, and you'll want to size everything together. And then, of course, you can go in and ungroup it, change your colors, pick different greens and things like that. from your menu. And then you'll just group it back together. Okay? And when you group it back together, it's going to be fine back in its original image. And the same thing with this one. You can see 3 different colors. If I were to ungroup that and decide that I wanted to make this a little bit bigger, look what happens. Doesn't line up anymore. Okay? Same as unlocking. If you unlock using your little handles here or unlocking at the top like we talked about last week, I can kind of change it and unlock it and change the size, but now I'm skewing it. Okay? So now it's not going to line up that way either. So you'll want to make sure that you're using your group and keeping things locked. If you want to change it while it's grouped, you can unlock it and now skew everything together. So if you wanted to make it a little bit wider, you could do that, but you want to make sure that you have it grouped when you unlock it to do that. Okay? So what are we doing over here with this one? You can notice that these have 3 layers and this one has 2 layers, but it's only one color. We have a pen layer and we have a cut layer. Okay, so same thing, you can detach here because it is attached. Your pen, your scores, all of your operation types over here, they have to be attached for those to work. You can detach, but if you resize this with it detached, you're still going to run into that issue. Now it's not going to fit. Okay, so those are attached on there. And we're going to get into that in just a minute and show you why. And we'll be talking about that on the mat screen. So I'm going to make sure that that's attached back. And then we have just this layer here with the pen. And we're going to get into what happens with that tomorrow as well, because I am going to be saving this file and we're going to reuse it. And we're going to talk about what they look like when they go to the mat screen. And then we have our print cut, one single layer, okay? And we've already discussed print and cut and how you need to flatten it and make sure it's flattened to one single image. You don't want to see grid behind it because that indicates cut line. So let's read the layers panel. So what, on this one, let's start with the Black History Month. What am I telling my Cricut to do? When I look at this, I'm telling my Cricut that this is going to be cut. I'm not going to be printing and cutting it. I'm not going to be doing anything except cutting it. I'm either going to cut this from cardstock, from vinyl, from iron-on. I'm going to cut it from something, and I'm going to cut it in 3 different colors. That's why I have a green, a red, and a yellow section all grouped together here. I am cutting these 3 pieces, and they are just going to be cut out of whatever material I decide I want to cut them out of. Be it sticker, paper, doesn't matter. My material doesn't even matter at this point, okay? All I'm telling my machine at this point is I want to cut this portion of the image from green, I want to cut this portion from red, and I want to cut this portion from yellow. That's all I'm telling my machine at this point. And then over here I'm just going to hide it using the eye. Now you can hide just parts of it, or you can hide your entire image, okay? And we're just going to flatten that one down. Same thing here. I am telling it that in this group, on this image, I want to cut a green layer, a black layer, a pink layer, and a yellow layer. So I have all 4 layers. This piece is in 4 layers. And I'm telling my machine we're just going to cut this out of these colors. And when we get to the mats, you'll be putting your colors onto the mat and loading the colors that you need for that one. Over here we have the compass rose here. You have a pin and a cut. So what am I telling my Cricut? I'm telling my Cricut that I want to draw this image onto the paper or whatever material that I'm using, and then I want to cut just the shape. I don't want to cut that pin out, okay? I don't want to cut that. And when we get to the matte screen, I'm going to show you what will happen if you don't have that cut layer. What's going to happen. Okay, so make sure that when you're looking at this, that you're reading this layers panel, because it will tell you if something's not working over on the matte screen for you. You will know simply by learning to read your layers panel. So we're telling it for this image. I'm going to hide that one just so that we don't get confused here. When you're looking at it and you're looking at this, you're sending it over to your Cricut and you're saying, draw this with a pen and then cut this shape around it. Okay? Super simple, super easy. Then we've got, I'm going to hide that guy. Then we have this. We have nothing but the pen. So we're just telling our Cricut, I want you to draw this. Nothing more, just draw it. Okay? And again, tomorrow or Thursday when we do our live, you'll see what I'm talking about. So one single easy layer, and that's what we're telling it. On this one, we're telling it to print it, then to cut it. Okay? Anywhere you see grid, that means it's going to be void of that space. Okay? So if you wanted this to cut out on a square, you're going to have to put it on a square in order to get it to cut square. Otherwise, it's going to cut this exact shape. It's going to print it, then it's going to cut it. Okay? And if you wanted it to cut square, of course, you would have to get a shape. White does not print a color, so if you want no background, you'll need it to be white. If you want it on a pink background, you'll need it to be pink. Okay? So we're going to arrange and we're going to send that to the back. And then we're going to say we have lined it center. That's where we want it. And we attach it. Okay? What I'm telling it to do is I want it to print then cut this leprechaun. Just like before, the square. And then I want it to cut a square. What's going to happen here, because this is 2 layers, it is going to print it on your paper. It's going to come in and it's going to cut this leprechaun out. Then it's going to cut this square. So we haven't really properly flattened that. That's not what we were looking for. We just wanted it to cut a square. So why is it doing that? And that's because we didn't properly flatten it. And if we look at our layers panel and we read it, we will see that before we get there. So now you can see that they are 2 separate layers again. This is just a square to cut, and this is just my leprechaun to cut. So when I attach the two, all I've done is tell it to do the same thing, but cut one out of the other. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to undo it. And the proper thing to do, if I just want it to print on there and then cut a square around it, is to flatten it. And watch what happens in the layers panel and look at that difference. So if I just flatten it, now I've told it to print and cut. So now it's going to print and just cut around the shape. Okay? Reading that layers panel and double checking it is going to save you a lot of materials and a lot of what did I do wrongs. Alright, so I'm going to undo that one again. And let's say, I'm just going to undo. I want to slice just this shape out because I want to put a green square. I'm going to duplicate that square. And let's just say I wanted to put a green square behind it and just want that shape. How do I do that? I'm just going to align center however you want it, or off to the side. And then I want this green square to be to the back. Let's just align everything center. Okay, so now I'm going to select those 3. Let me hide these hidden groups. And you can see that I have the 3 layers that we're working with here. I have the green square at the back, which is on the bottom. I have the white square in the middle. And then I have the leprechaun on the top. And I want to slice that leprechaun out of the white layer so that I can just see a green shape behind it. So I've got it all selected, and I have no slice option. And that is, if I look at my layers panel, I have 1, 2, 3 layers. You can only slice 2 layers at a time. So I need to select my leprechaun, and I'm just going to hold my shift key, and in my layers panel, select my square. And then you see I have slice, and I can use it and slice the image. So now you saw it flash, and I'm just going to move my leprechaun because I'm going to use him, but I'm not going to use him on this part of the project. Then I'm going to bring this out, and then this is the trash because I sliced this out of this, just like taking a pair of scissors and cutting it. And then I'm going to bring this back over, and now I've achieved, oops, align center. There we go. Now I've achieved the look that I want. And why would I do something like that? Maybe I'm making some type of a card where I want to use some foam dots to pop this up and give it just a skew a little and make it kind of look 3D. That's when you would want to do something like that. So it's going to give you that ability to print and cut just your leprechaun, and then, oops, that's weird. There we go. Just a little movement there. Glitch in the internet. So then I could glue these 2 layers together, pop dot him up, and achieve my look. So now when I look at it in my layers panel, I'm just going to slide this one up with the rest. Put them back in order. You can slide those around in there. You can see that it's going to print and cut my leprechaun and cut him in a shape. It's going to cut my white layer and give me that voided area in the middle. Anything that you can see grid is going to be cut out. And then it's going to give me my solid green square, and I can layer everything up. So it's super easy to go in and to look and use that layers panel and learn to read it. Now down at the bottom of that layers panel, we have a blank canvas. And you can see sometimes where this white, if you weren't using a grid, let me turn my grid off. And some colors are easier to see than other colors and some aren't. But because we've got these cut lines on this one's pretty easy to see. But if you have flattened it, let me just flatten this white layer and watch what happens. If it's going to let me. Let's come over to standard, and then I click off of it, it's gone. But if I look in my layers panel, it's there. Okay, because I've got it set for a print and cut. For whatever reason, if you're working with a print and cut that has a white background, you can't see it. It's in your layers panel over here, but it's not really there. So you can come down here to the bottom of your blank canvas and then come up to the top of your toolbar, and you see that now you see this little color. Click in the square under it, and then you can change the color of your grid to whatever color you want to use so that your images pop out and you can see them and you can continue to work and make it easy for yourself. Sometimes that bright white bothers some people and they like to work with a different color canvas just to kind of tone it down. This is how you can do that. So that is also in your layers panel. Next, you have down here, you have slice, which we just covered. Then you have weld. What does weld do? I'm just going to save this for tomorrow, so I'm going to group it, and we're going to hide it. Let's just say that I am trying to make a different shape for whatever reason. I'm going to grab a couple of shapes here. Let's do a couple of circles. I'm just going to duplicate that. Okay, let's say that I needed maybe a cat's eye. Okay, I'm just going to make this bigger so you guys can see it. I'm going to duplicate it. And so I'm just going to overlap a couple of my circles. I'm going to align them center vertically, and then I can slice that. So that gives me my slice. I only have 2 layers, and it will slice. Now I have that cat's eye. I can unlock it and change its width, those kind of things. I can rotate it up here at 90 degrees. But, you know, I kind of wanted to make a different shape. Like this one here. I'm going to align, center that vertically. Now I can weld those, because if you look at the layers panel, they are two different pieces. And should I wanted to slice both of those out of that one piece, let's just say I wanted to do it this way. And say I wanted to make another shape out of that one piece there. I can't slice it. But if I select these two shapes here in the layers panel, and again, I just held my shift key and selected them, then I can weld those two. And if you'll watch, now they are one in the layers panel. Okay, let me just duplicate that and show you. So now I have one in the layers panel. They are no longer two pieces. So now when I select this, I only have two layers and slice is available. Welding is permanent. You cannot undo it. Once you save your project and you leave, then it is a done deal. So now I have created many shapes from just two circles. Okay, and this is how you can learn and make shapes and make your own designs in Designspace, is by slicing and welding and contouring. What does contour do? Let's just say, well, I really like that shape, but I don't want that cut out of the middle of it. You can slap something in there and weld it back together, or you can simply come to contour, select that part, either here in the panel or over here on the image itself. And then you can come in and you can see that it took that out. I'm just going to undo that. So like I wanted this one, but I don't want the hole in the center. There we go. What if I want this one, but I want just the hole in the center, and contour out the other part of it. Right here, I cut this, and I just want the three pieces in the center. I don't want these little pieces. I don't know why I got them, the way that I sliced it, but I want to take them out. I can come in here, click on those pieces, take them out. So contour is a wonderful tool, especially, let's go over to images, and let's select something. Let's select this Happy Valentine's Day, and add it to the cart. Let's just say I wanted this to say happy birthday or happy whatever day. I can come in, take that image, or let's just say I wanted the happy Valentine's Day, but I didn't want the roses. Lots of things you can do with this. Come on over to your contour. It's going to open up. And then I can go in and I can take out the Valentines, or I can take out the roses. I'm just going to take out the roses. I don't want those roses in there. So I'm going to select them. Oops, I didn't get it all. You can just go back. And you can tell, you can see right here, when they highlight, you can click on them and take those pieces out. Okay? You can show all contours, you can hide all contours. Now I'm not going to sit here and take all of these out. You get the idea of how this works. Missing one. Sometimes it can be tricky, but you can find them here in your layers panel, and you can go in and take these pieces out. Like so, and you can see that it's closing in. And then you can slice out another image that you like in there. I thought I had them all, but there's some more. There we go. It was a little slower loading for me. To me, that's just easier than trying to click on them. It's just to go through here and pick those images and take them out. And you can tell that they're not the hearts, they're not the letters. I think it keeps getting stuck because I keep seeing that H. Yeah, that's what's happening. It's my internet. Having a bad internet day. Just get rid of all of those. Oh, that's the center of my E. I was getting rid of some of my centers there. I got rid of the center of my L, but I can bring those back. But you can see that the roses are gone, some of the hearts are gone, and you can go in there and change up and make it what you want. I think I did take out all of my letters, but you can, if you make a mistake like that, just go back and show all contours, okay, or hide all contours. So you can do that. What if you just didn't want the circle? Let's show all contours. You can take out just the circle and just have this portion and slice it out of a heart rather than a circle. So lots of things. Play with that contour tool. It's a wonderful tool once you learn to use it. Let's see. And then we have attach. Attach is going to attach it. Let's say I wanted all of this to cut in a specific place or together on the mat. I'm trying to squeeze in and save as much paper as I can save. So I'm just bringing everything in, and I want to get everything all in there. So once I do that, I can select it all and attach, and then when it goes to the mat, it will stay in one position. Now, if I wanted that to cut out a red, can't do that. You want to make sure that you're cutting everything that's attached is going to be cut on the same mat from the same color and the same material. Okay? So that's what your attach is going to do, and of course you can detach it. Now, what I said about Weld being permanent, once you save, I can save this. A lot of people say, what happens if I save it? You can't undo it. Well, you can, but you can't. I can undo that weld that I did. Let me just make sure I save this again. It's not saved. I have an asterisk. Once it's saved, they say you can't undo it. Well, you can, but it's not easy. If you don't care about the steps you did after that welding, then yes, you can. Simply by going to your undo button. And you can undo all the way up until you no longer have your weld. And you'll see what I mean here. It's going to undo all of my steps. Okay? All the way back. And you can see now they're not welded. But I lost all my other work. So that's why they say that you can't undo it. You can you can't unweld. You basically, it's just an undo, but you're going to undo every step after that you have done. And you saw that I had saved it. So I'm just going to save again. And once I weld this, I save. And I leave that project and go to another project. Let me just open this one up. Now I'm on another project. So once I come into this project and I say, oh, I want to go and do something over there and I forgot it. Come back and customize. I can no longer undo because there are no steps now that I have opened the project. There's not really an undo except that I moved that shape. Okay, so it's permanent. I can no longer undo it. Okay, so if you think that there might be a chance that you're going to need those two pieces and maneuver them again and not use them in that shape, and you know that you won't get it exact next time, you need to duplicate it and hide one in your layers panel that is not welded. Okay. Let's see. There was one other thing. Oh, let's say that, let me go back to my projects and open up that project. Let's just say that I wanted part of this over in that other project. How do I get the two of them together? So I can customize, and I'm just going to replace. Let's say I wanted this over there with that because I need to cut that shape out of it for whatever reason. You can right click and copy. And now that I have that copied, you can go, and you're not going to see it here. At the top of your window, if you're on a computer, you're going to see Cricut Designspace, and you're going to see File, Edit, View, and Help. And if you go to File, then click on New Window, it's going to open up a new Designspace window for you. Okay? And I've got one going here. Hopefully it will open it up. There we go. And I'm going to go to a new project because I don't want to contaminate the two projects, but I do want to combine them. So I'm going to do that new project. Maybe. I got a lot going here. There we go. I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste. Oops, I have something else saved. Okay, same thing. Let me right click. It just didn't copy for me. And paste. That was the last one I did. So now I have this in two. You can see here's my original. And here is the one that I am creating. So I'm going to go back to my projects in this window. And I want to combine this for whatever reason in there. And I'm going to customize this one. Just going to replace. I'm not saving anything yet. I'm going to grab this piece and I'm going to copy it. I'm just going to minimize that window and bring up the other one. And I'm going to paste it. And now I have that image in there and I can slice it, do whatever I want, add it to my project in any way that I might want to use that image. So I'm just going to save this one. And this is going to be tutorial 2. And I'm going to hit save. Now I have combined the two projects. So let's go and take a look at my projects. Here is my original, untouched, unmessed up. Here's my other original, not messed up. And here is my combined. So lots of things that you can do with your projects if you learn to read your layers panel. And I'm just going to customize that again. I apologize, this window is a little bit smaller. Let me grab, larger. Let me grab my other window here, maybe. Okay, doesn't want to give me my other window back. I thought I minimized it. I will get it here in a moment. Let me raise that up so you guys can see. There we go. So now you've learned how to read your layers panel, and looking at this one, I'm telling it that this weld result is this image. I'm just going to basically cut that image from whatever color I choose. Then on this one, I am going to be cutting my words out of black. I'm going to be cutting the green and my gnomes and my clover from green, and then my offset is going to be cut from a different color. So if I wanted to layer that up on a card or however I want to use it, if I were doing iron-on, I would slice my stuff from my offset because I don't like to layer vinyl up and make it thick. So super easy, super simple to learn how to read the brain of Designspace and look at what it's telling your machine to do. And so that's going to conclude this tutorial. Again, I apologize that we didn't get to do the live because I wasn't feeling well on Thursday. I'm just going to quit. I don't need that. This is making up for the one from the 10th. And then, of course, on Thursday the 17th, we will go into our Make It and our matte screens. And then on the 24th, we are going to conclude this little series and answer all of your questions. Make sure you write those down and get those ready. You can ask them during any live, and we'll make sure that we cover and go over anything from the past few weeks on learning design space that you need to cover. Then in March, we're going to start a series, and it's going to be by topic. It's going to be Thursday night topics for Design Space, so that you can come in and you can ask all of the questions that you need. We're going to do a print and cut series where we talk about nothing but print and cut, etc., things like that. Or if you need just tutorials on slicing. And during those topic type series, we're going to be making some simple projects from the Make It Now out of Cricut. So I will catch you guys on Thursday the 17th. Please give a like, a share, leave a comment down below, and we'll see you later. Happy crafting!